I'm not sure where or how to begin. In the middle, which is now, or at the beginning, which is only the past. The problem is that everything appears to feed and flow backward and forward in time. I'm currently working as a volunteer at an adult education college, assisting in the operation of the relatively new campus radio station. Because of the nature of the college, there isn't a steady flow of students who are always ready and able to do what I do, which is present, create, and promote programs, as well as publicize events and the station in general. My motivation for accepting the unique post was just to fill a year while I figured out what I wanted to do with my life. My existence. It came to an end of September 24, 1982. This is what I recall happening. I was hit by a car, and I remembered spectators heaping coats on me. The warmth was reassuring. I faded out, and the next thing I remember is being in the ambulance, prone, clearly on a stretcher, and saying a few words to the paramedic. I needed to have my hand held. Despite the fact that my eyes were open, I felt alone and in the dark. I faded away. Things were significantly different at some point, whether before the ambulance or in the ambulance. I suspect the latter. After many years of contemplation, I recognized one of the inner problems I had concerning those occurrences, which remained like ghosts in my mind. The awareness was normal, yet it was not human. Nothing from that experience fits into my human imagination, and the only imagery I have is what my mind can translate. Even as I write this, I can feel myself attempting to avoid it, and it's taken a lot of effort. There was a sense of self, of identity. It was no different from the very human self-image that we all have and accept on a daily basis. I felt relieved that it was all over. So this is what it's like. Thought, sight, hearing, and touch. Our familiar senses didn't apply. This was different. In my experience, I knew I had died, even though I had not had the famous out-of-body experience, and there was no fear, no amazement, just the most complete acceptance of my circumstances. Others were present, and I recognized my great-uncle Frank, an ex-miner who had tremendous spiritual faith but never let it interfere with his life, yet it constantly enhanced and fed his decisions. His compassion was unparalleled, and his passion was unrivaled. He informed me that I had to return. I had a task to accomplish, and when this occurred, I was heartbroken. But I knew it was completely true, and I agreed to it. The next thing I remember seeing was quietly opening my eyes and raising my head, looking toward my feet at the double doors that appeared an impossible distance away in the simple white room I was in. There was a gurney to my left that was unoccupied, as was the one to my right. I simply asked where I was when a nurse answered the door. She informed me the name of the hospital, and I said fine, before falling back asleep as she shut the door. When I awoke, I was in a corridor, surrounded by noise. There was a kaleidoscope or visual montage. The visuals were snippets of being at the emergency department, getting examined, being x-rayed, and at some point, there is an image that persists. If you have a computer with the flying through the stars screensaver, configure it to display the minimum number of stars at medium speed, then click on Preview. There is a brief pause in time when the screensaver gathers information to launch the show. That's what I saw. And for a long time, I assumed it was similar to me looking at the road as I plummeted. I've started to believe differently in the last year or so, and I'm not sure what it alludes to or if it's really true. For the last few years, I've become more aware of a pattern in my life. What I genuinely desire doesn't appear to be significant. What I need is typically met, and I continue to make a difference in people's lives simply by being present. Currently, several of my old tutors, who are now sort of co-workers, and college students actually appreciate all of my efforts on this project with which I'm involved. And I have very few friends, and no one of my own. I haven't had one since my brief and terrible marriage ended in 1989. To put it bluntly, I feel like there's a void in my soul that cannot be filled. When it appears that I'm going to get into a serious relationship with any lady, it does not materialize. And I realize that I'm not destined to be with her. That these occurrences are merely training runs to become a better person. Again, I'm not sure if this is fact or my imagination, but it does happen. Without my emotional defense barriers, the near-miss romance never happens, and we usually remain friends. I'm attempting to reconcile emotion and rationality, aiming to become a nicer and more fulfilled person. Yes, I have an ideal of what I'm attempting to become, and I may never accomplish it. But unlike so many others I've encountered, I'm doing everything I can to attain it. However, the periods of inner gloom and loneliness are becoming increasingly difficult to bear. I've been medically ruled unfit for work owing to a breakdown and depression since 1997. And while I'm prone to despair and inner turmoil, I know the difference between feeling sad and this other thing. Although my position at the institution is not secure, I have the security of knowing that I'm well appreciated by both faculty and students. But the isolation. When I feel like this before, all I could think about was committing suicide. But now all I want to do is halt the misery in the greatest manner possible, to cure the hurt. If I shared this with my psychiatric staff, they would just tell me that I'm progressively cycling upwards in my depressive moods. But I do not believe this is the case, and I cannot explain why. It is well recorded in anecdote that many people are sensitive, almost psychic, and among these are known to be healers. Several people I've met in the last 2 years have commented on my sensitivity and offered to help, but I've always felt that this was the wrong path to take at the moment. I don't know where to turn, and if it could be demonstrated to me that I'm merely delusional and not on any grand mission, and that all it would take to restore balance is a few sessions of therapy and some happy pills, I would be a very happy man. In fact, I would be overjoyed. It's how I'd like my current circumstance to be, but I have a feeling it's not the case. So every day, I try to show everyone the plain fact of life. If I can do it, anyone can if they let themselves. For want of a better word, I'm attempting to become a wiser, gentler, kinder, and stronger man. It takes work, and every time I question what the point is, even when I don't show it in public, someone lets me know. However, even by phone or mail, that they value my presence. It provides comfort, but not the comfort I need. Someone to embrace me and assure me everything will be fine while I express my emotions. This is part of my story, and I've tried to be as truthful and vivid as possible. One interesting part of the story is that, according to my medical records, the accident occurred in 1984, not in 1982.